Yeah. There's nobody there,
Nobody's there.
but.
Okay, next thing on our agenda is the committee chairs agenda, which is a resolution proclamation, March 2022 as Ag Month in Wyoming County. Simple enough, we do this each year. I need motion to Mr. Granger. All in favor? Carried. Let's see, we don't have Justin here right now. Abby,
Everybody's also running late.
let's go down to the L item, Canyon Creek. We have the
Yep, it's attached.
wind.
So, we'll say, we can go over this one. What happened today?
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure Justin will come today. Or, I don't have a report for her, although I put the marker in there. Usually I get one fast. Maybe we'll just hang on a few minutes, see who shows up.
It's almost time.
You can do the appointment.
Okay. I'm waiting on the Canyon Creek. Mr. Burke, do you have any information on this report of else?
No, not that I can think of right off my head. Trying to get it open, it's taking me a little longer.
This didn't open quickly on mine either.
It's big, that's
It's
why.
big.
Yeah.
Just $183,000 grant approved.
Jim, do you know if you, is that a 3-year appointment or something? Is that a 3-year appointment for the soil and water board?
Is that a-
Is that a 3-year appointment for the soil and water board? I don't remember.
I don't know, I thought they would, I think, I'm too sure, is ours a 1-year appointment?
Yours is because you're a supervisor.
Yeah,
Do I need to go out and look for sure to see how long that is? Or do you guys just trust me to look and put it in the minutes?
there isn't a district law hooked to that.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Unless it's the last page. Yeah, it just says the makeup of the board is the page that he gave. Yeah. Well, I'll get it. Yeah.
So we all ready for the snow Friday? You all ready for the snow?
No, I got it like yesterday, Monday. The white, we're gonna bus you drive. Oh, well. Whatever they need me to do. Oh,
Who you driving for?
I'll
Becky,
Both of you?
an email yesterday.
should have got us There you go.
We could have got all of us. You could have got all the supervisors to run the bus. You'd have been in trouble.
I'm not here, I've driven it every day since school started.
Oh, yeah.
They do go along.
Oh.
Same. Same way with me.
You drive bus,
It's kind of nice.
like doing it?
I have a blast. I have fun. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
For seven.
Believe it or not.
The what?
Article 47 where they double your salary.
No, I didn't get that.
You didn't get that?
They sent me some form. I call.
Just take your time. You just take, it's like anything. You just take your time. If you're a few minutes late, you're a few minutes late. Who cares? Who cares? You remember?
Which is, we don't pay that.
Safety not scheduled.
That's right. Safety first. Safety first.
Safety not scheduled.
Special test.
Oh, you got all kinds of them, right? There's a lot of, I just went down the other day for my piss test. Yeah, I had to get out for my test.
Years ago, when
I did.
we had to take that test for chauffeurs.
So that's how they do it, so then.
Legally, on paper, I could drive anything. Not every guy goes through it. I'm not driving.
Building or some of that stuff they want to pay.
But it's probably
I can
good.
see the.
It's a,
Kids are great.
they're good.
Oh, and Mark, right, those kids are fine.
At McFarland Johnson, you mean?
Kids are fine.
Or Thompson?
Most
It is, yeah.
McFarland and requested for that reimbursement.
They get to know you if you lay down the law first.
And then I could break down.
There's just so.
I know you.
All the buses are automatic now, aren't they?
Yeah, well,
We're.
you got it. You got it.
I'm too used to shifting.
You don't have to shift. All you got to do is shift the wheel.
First one, I like when it goes right away. But it's something again.
You know, we dumbed everything up so anybody can put.
Check the mailbox.
It's just called society, you know?
He picks up the.
Most people today probably don't even know how to drive a standard. You know, how did you learn to drive a standard? You learned it on your, probably on your,
Oh, there.
riding a lawnmower, right? Mowing the lawn, what mowed the lawn?
I had two trucks with.
Oh, that's right.
I had a road rage at 13th speed.
Yeah,
Yesterday, we checked. There's two.
It would-
There.
They make you mad as hell,
Address.
but then you go home laughing.
Max 205.
I had guys drive
Fire department is 205.
5-6 miles,
Oh, no.
never get out of 47.
Oh, no.
We have a fire alarm system in. the-
Yeah, 9 more years to go.
And they come.
Never get out of 40.
Here, and they did it in November.
It's just a simple, I get it,
Oh,
simple,
you know how to do it and how to operate.
Very, very simple.
We had one,
It's life.
that's the other.
Okay, everybody can be back to me here on this. Okay, with Joe Kozlowski becoming the supervisor. he was-
Oh,
Pardon? Kozlowski.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Joe.
that's already been
no,
done.
I just didn't know if there was a Kozlowski.
With Joe becoming supervisor, he could no longer be a representative for drainage to the soil and water conservation. Instead, we have a recommendation for Ron Cormack to be appointed for a 3-year term to this. Not well Ron, his reputation, and lifelong farmer there in Java. Anybody care to make that motion to appoint Ron? Motion made by Supervisor Berliner. Any other discussion?
But the request was to the Grange, for some names, and that's the only name they sent us. So I don't know
And they would,
how many people belong to Grange anymore. Like Cheryl was explaining, this is like the county Grange. So this one time back in the day, there was a Grange in most towns, every town had a Grange, you know.
Big Range was the precursor to Farm Bureau.
Yes.
Grange is being a little tougher. I said, well, how did I get on? I didn't belong to the Grange. I joined it, then I had to join the Grange at the time. And they very inquisitive, how, at the time, I still belong to the Grange, but I'm not.
I knew you could afford to do.
Well, if you want to be nasty, you get letters for, you know,
What am I?
a little help. That's. So,
Cheryl, you said you-
how do you want to be?
Okay.
You got it, so don't worry about it.
Ceremony,
I do.
certain
It's a
things.
big deal.
Yeah.
Started out as a political organization. Supporting farming.
Rural family life.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're as big as they used to be years ago.
They're not. But they try.
Okay, we have a motion, any other discussion? All in favor? Carried.
As far as I'm concerned, I go way out front, if it's not something. You guys.
Whoops.
I'd say we're done.
There wasn't any attachments from Justin.
So what's it?
There wasn't, I didn't get one.
Nothing from Justa. We have some 4-H news.
Yep.
4-H cookie sale is coming soon.
It's ongoing.
I was gonna say,
It's all pre-order.
Pre-order.
Um,
see, if you're not here on time and we can do our business without you, that's how cookie rolls.
I say so.
No fun.
Report on the fair. Report on the fair.
I haven't got much for you. Everything. Do you remember Jensen, the 4-H?
Wyoming County salutes 100 years of 4-H, something on that order.
It's 100-year of 4-H in Wyoming County.
Yeah.
So that's being incorporated into the Fair. They like to have it early and they like to have something that people can work with, because quite a few of the vendors actually incorporate that theme into their booths. If you walk through the buildings, you look at things. 4-H does a great job with their club booths in the youth building. So that's there. Still working with the state on 2 grants to help pay for the new barn. Paperwork's been submitted, but you know, if anybody's dealt with grants with the state, you know how that process goes. Although they've been, I can't say enough good things about the people I've worked with at Ag and Markets to help secure the grants and guide us through the process. You know, that new building, when we get all done between the fundraising and the grants, our goal is at this point to have about a $50,000 mortgage on it.
Wow.
My goal is to not have any mortgage on it. So if you know anybody that's looking for someplace to send some money, the Fair Association would always be welcome to that, but you know, it's quite a testament to the county and in support of the youth, Fair Association, and all of those things, that we were able to raise somewhere in the neighborhood of $400,000 to help pay for that mark.
And to Sandy Purdy.
Yes, thank God for Sandy Purdy. What a breath of fresh air she is to a lot of things.
Mhm.
She's been very helpful, but that's where we are. We'll really start planning and get things going here in the next couple of months. We'll get our summer crew hired. If there are youth around that we can hire, get things prepared.
Any special events on the horizon?
Nothing special on the horizon.
Yeah.
I haven't been down here recently. I think that's a question we can ask Devin tomorrow. Last time I was down, they had a lot of the components there. They were working on it as the components come in.
Is it muddy, like they can get in there and do that, or is it?
It's off to the side and it's pretty gravelly there, so where they are, it should be okay most of the time.
The theme is Wyoming County saluting a century of 4-H. So they said.
Something along that line, but I don't think it was, I wasn't involved.
That's it, because I texted Claudia there, that runs Quilt Store in Gray Center. She always asked me. So as soon as we did it, I texted it to her, so she knew what it was. So
I'll say yeah. Cool.
Mr. Burke and Mr. Burweimer, you're the two closest to the actual dairy industry. Anything, any comments?
So no one continues to increase price of everything else is increasing. That's not a news flash to anybody. And there continues to be a shortage of product from upstate in the stores. Once again, I went to Walmart yesterday. I was in Arcade and Surefine. No half and half from upstate. No half and half at all, either place. You know, for
Yeah.
that's one of their big product lines. And one day I was down at Walmart and Brian's brother, Jason, was in the store with his mother. And there wasn't one thing in the dairy case from upstate. All empty shelves. I said, you heard Stan talk about they can't get the product out, you know, problems with manufacturing, processing at the plant, problems with containers, problems with shipping. So, and of course, the price of everything else is gone out of sight.
yeah, the big talk out there is the price of fertilizer is going to, be a lot more than it has been in the past.
Yes, it's 3 times.
Even if the availability is going to be there, of course, with the price of oil going up all the time, that connects to that too, just like it does the gasoline. So
And it does for plastics too, for the milk containers and stuff.
hopefully, right now, the price of corn is pretty good, at $6 a bushel. And once that holds there, that'll help, $6 is better than $4. You don't know that. When you plant the corn in May, what you're gonna get it come November, December, what the price is gonna be.
And the milk isn't the only commodity that there's trouble filling the demand. Bob Ratchell owned the store in Arcade for, family's been there for over 100 years. Bread is another problem. What's not bread? Bread.
Yep.
He, one of the vendors, bread, out of Youngstown, Ohio, and his vendor comes out of Bradford, his distributor. And they get like, they only get what they bring in. They bring like a semi in, transfer. And so getting about half the orders. I've been in the store, it's like, bread shelves are empty. And it's everything sold, laundry detergent, down to Walmart. I use Era. That whole shelf is empty, just like Clorox was 2 years ago. So it's a lot of things.
And again, nobody wants to work even if you got it there.
And I talked to Denny Martin, who owns Martin Brothers Chevrolet in Arcade. I said, when will, the supply be back so a guy can order a truck? You order a vehicle today, it's at least a year. He said, well, maybe in a year, if they're building, renovating, retrofitting chip plants to accommodate the need for big automakers in this country. There you are.
Some of the big plants that they're opening up in Ohio to do that.
But everything slowed down.
Everything slowed down. Including paperwork and audits
And when you think about vehicle sales, that's an impact on county sales tax. Because wherever the vehicle's registered, that's where the sales tax goes. And when people can't buy new vehicles, And that's where the money is. Which the cost of fuel should make up the difference.
That's unfortunate.
I know, I filled my car up last night. Guess how much to fill my little car up last night?
$10.
60 bucks.
I'm gonna say 60 bucks.
I gave him 60 bucks and I thought I'll be back in for
I
a few
got,
bucks.
I got to fill my truck.
You got $100 bill, right?
It won't cover it. Be about 120.
It's gonna go up.
30-gallon tank.
Yeah, they say that,
If there's a tax, it's gonna go up,
yeah, they say it's gonna go up.
way up.
But anyway, that's what's going on.
That's what the people wanted.
I'm happy, no happy.
I spoke with,
What do you have for us?
I came in the middle of so much good news. I apologize. I'm in rain boots because I was up at camp and then I was at the doctors and we were running all over this morning. You should have all received, copies of the new Farm and Homestead and 4-H news. So those, feature most of our updates, but I just want to highlight a couple quick things. So I met with, Senator Gallivan a couple weeks ago. We are looking for increased state funding for cooperative extensions. So we've had stagnant funding for 20 years until last year we saw a slight increase. We wanted to build on that momentum. So we're actually, hopefully, we have requested a multi-million-dollar increase in the governor's current budget. I think we may see it based on the news we're hearing thus far, which is great. Now, obviously that's split between every association in the state, so we will only see a small portion of that. And that'll be through 224 funding, which if you're not familiar with, we can only use for certain employees, so our educators are mostly where that salary goes. But that's exciting news. Senator Gallivan is also going to issue a proclamation in a few weeks to celebrate our 4-H centennial, which is also very exciting. We're looking at kicking off celebrations for that in early spring, so you'll see some information about that coming through soon. It is also the 60th year of the cookie sale. We have to dig back and find out whether it was in fact the 60th year. It is. That just kicked off pre-sales. So if you would like cookies, feel free to talk to me, feel free to talk to anybody in the office. We started the pre-sale format first during the pandemic, and it actually worked much better because then we didn't have those excess cookies that we were worrying about selling before they expired. So just pop into the office, see me, see any of our 4-H educators, any 4-H youth, and they will get you hooked up with some cookies. Couple other quick pieces of news. We are almost complete with our renovations. If you've been in our office at all recently, I know Supervisor Berger has been. We are getting there. By the end of this week, we should all be moved in. Looks like Veterans Services is going to be one of our neighbors, which is actually very exciting to me because I just received word from Cornell that we received part of an innovation grant to run some veterans recreational outdoor education. So there's a New York State program, I think it's a national program, but there's a New York State branch called Master Naturalist, which is a really great program that basically certifies you as a master naturalist, and that covers things like invasive species, pest identification, track identification. It's a really great course, and it's really popular with veterans. And we are now going to be able to do some programming that's going to be partially funded out of this grant. My hope is that we'll be doing that up at Camp Wyandotte. So this is my next segue. So we are not running camp this year. That was a board decision based on largely finances and liability. So I'm on a lot of state camp calls right now. The camp picture is not particularly sunny. The camps that did run last year took a pretty serious financial hit due to declining enrollment. But the other big issue that a couple of camps saw was major liability because of COVID. So schools see a lot of protections because of COVID, as do a lot of public entities, but because 4-H camps are a private entity, there is not many protections in place. So there were several lawsuits, I think, pending. I don't know the full details because thankfully they're not us, but that is an issue. So financially, liability-wise, the board made that decision relatively recently. We are, however, using camp for 4-H programming, and I was up this morning looking at a few things for people that might want to rent camp. So we're looking at a way to make camp feasible with day programming this year and some other 4-H programs. The property is still really important to us because it also houses our shooting sports program, which is obviously a very successful program. We just had 2 people out of Perry do wonderful things with that program, and so we really like to keep the camp in tip-top shape, so we're looking at some new options for that this summer. But I think we also made the right call based on the other piece that we're looking at is staffing. So a lot of these camps rely on international staff members, which we rely on for specialist staff, so archery, lifeguards. Just impossible to hire a lot of that locally, and a lot of those countries still aren't letting people in. And if they do come in and test positive for COVID, you're basically paying them for the camp season in quarantine, which is what a couple of camps ran into last year, who could get people in. Not great. I had a couple who was looking at running camp down in Canada yesterday, and their restrictions are still so much tighter than ours, that it's just hard to deal with international staff. So more news about what we're doing with camp this summer forthcoming. And then finally, hopefully at one of our upcoming spring meetings, I'd like to bring in 2 of our younger members of the Northwest New York team. So we have Margaret Fossdorf is one of our younger dairy educators, and she has really started doing a lot of excellent programming with some of the field crops in the region. And then we have Caitlin Lutz, who's our other new dairy educator, who has been our bilingual liaison for a lot of the farm labor issues in the county. They're both excellent, and so I'll be bringing them in, hopefully sometime, I'll reach out to you, Cheryl, sometime in the near future, to bring them in. I think that's a
In
lot.
the past, we've been able to get a couple 4-H'ers come in and do the demonstration.
I should have mentioned that. So we're actually in the middle of public presentations right now. I must give a shout out to the 8 kids who made it in on Saturday during what was pretty apocalyptic weather. I had to turn around. So I was coming in a judge and I made it to the 390, and me and about 3 other pickup trucks had to turn around at some point. But Sarah and staff made it in to judge those public presentations. So as soon as those are wrapped up, we'll pick a couple for you to come in and do those presentations, hopefully at the next meeting. So those will wrap up, I think they're done by Friday. So we were able to do fully in-person public presentations this year, which was great.
You mentioned, speaking with Senator Gallivan, if somewhere along the way he's able to financially assist you or do something along the way, you really need to acknowledge it. I think we had one director that didn't acknowledge it after they'd done something for, so.
Yeah, so we sent a pretty extensive thank you, and then once his office and I communicate not infrequently, particularly now that it's budget season, we have a new governor and lots of things are moving and shaking for CCE, so I'm hopeful that we will also have a plaque for him in the near future, because he's done a lot for us this budget
Of course,
season.
you know he's not gonna be our guy. Becky mentioned this year.
Yeah, and that was a senator that will be, our new senator, yeah. And Cheryl, you took them down to show me office and everything, yeah. Senator Ken will still be there, that,
Right.
it'd be good to have the 2, because he's so familiar with.
So we work in teams for extension, so I'm actually on with, so I don't just hop on our reps, I hop on with all the reps from pretty much, except for Rochester and Buffalo, they have their own meetings, but Livingston's reps and Allegany's reps and Catarocts' reps, so.
Wasn't the intern lady, wasn't she from Allegheny?
Yeah, so the intern,
She was familiar with this guy.
Yes.
You know.
so we were actually on with, their rep. It went well, yeah, Allison was wonderful. So yeah, Laura Huntsberger, who's the EDI at Allegheny County, knows him really well. So we're lucky, we're already on at least semi-talking basis with all the reps for the region, which is helpful.
And he's on the, he's a ranking member on the A committee.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We were also on our colleagues with Commissioner Ball, who gave us a little shout out for coming and visiting the new facilities on the fairgrounds.
Did you ask him where Mike Grant is?
So I can tell you, so we have a small state grant for this dairy education program right now. And we keep getting increasingly stressed emails from both the state and Cornell, and like, it's coming, we signed the papers, so like, from small grants to large grants. I have a couple other counties closer to Buffalo, so Niagara, possibly Erie, who run these starter grants, same thing, like everything is very, very slow. On the bright side, the things that we have heard from our lobbyists at Cornell is that the ag budget is going to be very healthy for 2023. So, all signs, what's positive there, it's whether that money will actually trickle down anytime soon, that's a good question. We are back in the office, so if you need anything, hop in.
No mask?
No mask required, we're just taking attendance at the moment, so if we have events, we're just.
I didn't know, maybe, campus is still set. You need to have that.
So we were just given word, I haven't been to campus since I was hired, and we were just given word last week that we're allowed back. Well, 4-H is allowed back with certain requirements in place, but I will be delivering 2 years worth of tech recycling materials either Friday or Monday, so whoever's done back. But yeah, they've slowly lifted the restrictions at Cornell as well, so. The only thing we're in a little bit of gray territory with is youth programming, because we aren't under the school mandate, but if we're at a school, we're under the school mandate, so that gets a little gray, but everything else, we're basically back to taking attendance and a lot of other requirements. Thank you.
Good, thank you. So that's it.
Would you?
Any other business coming before this committee today? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Nothing for me.
Nope. You are free.
I'm going home and interview.
You got the mic up, right? Just so you know, I don't know if just, if there's any